Hello all and welcome to a Fergie time at fantasyfootballhub.co.uk with the game week deadline just 1 hour away. My name is Fergie, and for any new watchers, you are very, very welcome. If you haven't subscribed just yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Set the alerts so you don't miss any of our content right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. What a week. What a week. Lukaku well and truly gave us a lot of things to think about this week, and just an unbelievable week. I did a green hour on this channel on Tuesday. I was very calm, very composed. How do I plan for the next few game weeks? Bang, Lukaku injured, wild card active. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen, my wild card is active, and I will be sharing that with you in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Good evening to everyone in the chat. Absolutely fantastic to have you with me this evening. Samuel Giza says Jimenez start or not. There was some, so the Wolves manager this afternoon said something on the lines of they've been kind of managing him, and they're going to make a late decision on whether he's going to actually start or not tomorrow, I believe. So those who hold Jimenez, you may just want to know that because he may not start. So make sure that, he may start. Obviously, he may do well. He may be benched. He may get minutes, he may not, but just to be aware of that. Good evening to FPL Rubber Ducky. It's your fault I look like this. It's your fault I was up till 2:30 last night with my wild card on your things. But thank you so much for hosting a superb Twitter Spaces. Jeremy says hi, and Rohit, first question. Hi, Fergie, on a wild card, keep Antonio and Son or go to Kane and Gray? Thinking long term. Also, Gray has a better couple of fixtures, going 3-5-2. Is it worth holding Antonio? I've gone Antonio and Son. I've probably got a slightly different structure from you, but the reason I'm going for Antonio and Son, I think that, if you look at those two, I think Antonio is probably a better option than Gray. Personally, still for the next few, I think Antonio will do something against Spurs for sure. Everton, a bit lackluster recently. The thing with Son and Kane, if you go into Kane, you're kind of committing yourself to a very, very expensive player and, hoping that Spurs come good. I think with going with Son, because you're saving a couple of million on Son, if Spurs don't kick on and don't improve, then you don't want them from game week 12. You've got the option to kind of spend those funds elsewhere. So I personally go for Antonio and Son. Good evening, Yanni. I'm so sorry about all the pronunciation of all the names I do. He says, good evening, Hiva Iltai in Finnish. I hope I've given that some kind of justice. Good evening, Steen. Happy to make it a deadline stream. The Saturday morning ones are difficult. Yeah, it is. It is a pain. I think there's a couple of Saturday ones coming up, Steen, but thank you so much for joining us. Question from Adam H. Quick one for you. Do you think Chilwell or Alonso is too big a risk because of Tinker and Thomas? I don't. I am all over Chilwell. I'm going to show you my wildcard team very soon. The thing I think with Chilwell, his upside is so high, and the best part with him is usually kind of 90% of the time, if he doesn't start, he doesn't come on as a sub either. So you get your first sub off the bench, which for many of us are people like maybe Livramento or Mbomo or someone along those lines. So I do think actually that he's well worth a risk. And I think even if he starts two of these next three fixtures, which are Norwich, Newcastle and Burnley, even if he only starts two, I think he'll start three. If he only starts two of them, he could do some serious damage. So I am all over Chilwell. And Rory just on Chelsea defence as well. I have Christensen with 0% in the bank. Should I -4 for James or Chilwell? Personally, wouldn't, Rory. I think when you went with Christensen, you kind of made your bed there. So I personally wouldn't. Who's to say that James starts or not? Who's to say that Christensen starts or not? We don't know. I think you made your bed with Christensen, so I would probably just go with it, and see how the next week plays out. Good evening, Luke Byrne. Good evening, Anil, and good evening, Danny K. King Cold Heart says Antonio or Wilson. Do you know, I do fancy Antonio in the short term, but I do think Wilson from game week 12, Newcastle's fixture game week 12, Brentford, Arsenal, Norwich and Burnley are superb. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, I'd maybe go for Wilson, but I do think Antonio could do well. He's got Spurs and Villa next too. The XGC is not the best. They're not good defences. I do fancy Antonio to get something, particularly as he was rested on Thursday evening as well in the Europa League. Anil asks, Smith Rowe or Sarr to start? Bit of a tough one. I'd probably go Sarr, I think, personally. I still think he looked dangerous last week against Liverpool. I think he hit the post. I'd still go start out of those two. And I need some advice. -8 for Lukaku. For Lukaku, Mahrez, and Hwang to Vardy, Tony, and Havertz. Wow, they are nice moves. I would personally say with those three, and I never normally advocate a -8, but Lukaku is obviously out for a couple of weeks, we think minimum. Mahrez, you never know if he's going to play or not, and Hwang, whereas Vardy, Tony, and Havertz, great next three fixtures, should hopefully start definitely 2, if not 3. Tony's Brentford's fixtures just go on and on. They're absolutely fantastic. And Vardy's in fantastic form. So I wouldn't normally say a -8 and but on this occasion I would be tempted because they are such good, both short-term and long-term moves. So should I bench Reece James and Saka? I would never bench Reece James. I mean, you bought Reece James, right? I mean, if you thought he was a rotation risk, you're not going to play it at home to Norwich, when now you're going to play him. So this is the thing I was kind of, warning against last week and the week before about buying these Chelsea defenders who we're not really sure about. Maybe Christensen, maybe Reece James. Rudiger, we know is nailed. Chilwell is nailed, or he doesn't play, which is fine. Silva, in all fairness, plays a lot, and Aspie plays a lot as well. But Reece James, I think you've made your decision. I think you have to go with it this week, personally. Go with Reece James this week. Hopefully he does well, and then see how the week plays out in terms of the Carabao Cup and things. Daniel says Tony to Lukaku already done. -4 degrees to Havertz and cash for Son in 12, or keep Grealish and Brownhill to Havertz. I think I like the looking ahead, but again, I was thinking with Grealish, I'm guessing you bought Grealish in recently, either last week or the week before. I kind of think if you brought them in, why you shift them on quickly, even though obviously we didn't know about Havertz last week. I prefer the first option there, Daniel, personally, to keep the cash for Son as well. I always think it's good to plan ahead if you can. Rohan asks, is Jimenez going to start? Sadly, we don't know. We don't know about if Jimenez is going to start. Oliver, I'm captaining KDB. Flower pot man, you've just gave me an absolute heart attack. You absolute swine of hell. I was trying to not look down on it. I was trying to not look down. For those who've seen the chat, Flower pot man says, evening mate, here in Havertz is a huge doubt for the weekend. And I saw the top of it and I was like, oh, please don't now, please don't. I've been thinking about Kai Havertz for the last 2 days, and he says, only joking. Good luck for the weekend. Absolute swine. Sorry, there was a couple of questions on KDB. Oliver Hatton, I'm captaining KDB. Can't stop me. Brilliant. And Luke Byrne says, captain KDB or Vardy. I'm not that keen on Vardy this weekend. I do think he may score against Brentford, but Brentford defensively, and as a whole team have been absolutely superb. So I think there are better options personally. I think Salah. I think my vice is actually on Havertz. I'll show my team in a bit. My vice is on Havertz. I think there are better options. Personally, definitely not. Those on KDB, I kind of understand it, but Brighton again are a very, very good defensive team. Do you want to think that City can go to Brighton and win 3-4, 5-0? Because I don't. I think they'll win. I think they'll win, I don't know, maybe 1-0 or 2-0 maybe, but I don't really understand the KDB love. Personally, watch this now. He'll go and score a couple of goals, but I don't really get it personally. I think there's far better options. I mean, look at Salah, right? Look at Salah. He's playing for a team absolutely banging form. He is bad. He's never been in better form in his life. He is playing a team defensively in Man United that are an absolute mess. They are a shambles. Mo Salah is going to be running at Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire, for goodness sake. That's who he's going to be running at. I just don't, with Lukaku against Norwich, I can understand the dilemma. And I was actually on Lukaku against Norwich. But, when you, after that, then I don't really understand. The only one I could kind of understand is maybe Havertz against Norwich. But I don't think that's a bit of a risk. I just think Salah for me this week, now with the news on Lukaku, is a no-brainer personally. But best of luck to everyone, and I really, really hope it comes in for you. I really do, because, if it does, brave move, deserves a bit of success. Cadnan Cade, hey Vic, loving the content from Nairobi. Welcome, Cadnan, all the way from Kenya. My question is Vardy okay? It's a good question. I think I would go for Vardy, Cannon in the short term, but maybe have a plan to get to Kane for game week 12 personally. And Colin Bugle, how many more weeks will it be until we all go rogue and do minus 12 every game week? Assuming, Colin, that you use your wild card early, I wouldn't go nuts. I still think, like, I've taken out a couple of players on my wild card who I'm concerned about, right? So I've taken out Ben Rama just as an example. You know, I can't even think who else I've taken out at the moment, but to take Ben Rama out, right? And, you know, I was bigging him up in the week because I do think that West Ham will score a couple of goals against Spurs. I wouldn't be surprised they did, but there's still a lot of players still, you know, who people are, you know, kind of holding on to, have still got a lot of value. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in your squads, right? So don't worry, Colin. Be cool. Play it. It's amazing how many times, you know, when you look at the best team of the week, how many players do you think, how the hell are they? How are my players not scoring the points? Keep it cool, buddy. You'll be absolutely fine. FPL Rover, good evening. Would you start Saka or Mbomo? And would you captain Havertz or Kane? So those two first ones, I would definitely play Mbomo because Saka is at risk of starting. He may start, but Arsenal, you know, they're not that good. And would you captain Havertz or Kane? Good question. Out of those two, I'd be tempted by Havertz. I gotta say, I do think Kane could do okay, but you know, he only scored against Newcastle, right? So out of those two, I'd go Havertz personally. Flower Pot Man, you're not reading yours out. Just quickly, let's just go through a bit of team news from what we have heard in terms of injury news. So apparently, the Wolves manager Lager has said that Jimenez may or may not start. So for those of you holding Jimenez, you've got 48 minutes to make a decision on what you want to kind of do there. In terms of in terms of the risk with Jimenez, do you want to start him or not? He may play, he may not, but you've got a decision to make there. He said he may not start. Obviously, Lukaku and Werner both out for Chelsea. He said that they will not play the next two games. Now that means he said Norwich and Southampton, which is the Premier League game this weekend, but also the Carabao Cup game midweek. He's not talking about next weekend. They play Newcastle away next weekend. Now he hasn't mentioned that. I'd be very, very surprised if they're fit personally, but they may be. So if you are thinking of hanging on to Lukaku, I was thinking this myself, and because I saw the upside of potential opportunity, I decided to go for it and take Lukaku out. But if you are holding on to Lukaku, I wouldn't be scared of doing it if you are planning on doing it personally. If I didn't have the wild card, I would have very likely held on to him and gone for Chilwell. But yeah, and the other one is Bruno Fernandez. Potentially missed a training session. I think it was either yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He missed a training session yesterday, and is a slight doubt for Man United, which again only kind of enhances Liverpool's chance of the weekend. Bamford is still out for Leeds. Calvert-Lewin is going to be out for around another 4 or 5 weeks for Everton, which doesn't really bode well for those. Though Richarlison may be back very, very soon. Devradka is out. Pulisic is out for Chelsea as well. So in terms of this Havertz clamour, I can't think of any other player in the whole club now, actually who could play that number 9 role potentially, apart from Havertz personally. Ayling is out, Cantwell is out, and Ward-Prowse is serving his final game ban for Southampton. Just in terms of transfers in, some really, really interesting stuff. There was a lot of people who actually brought Lukaku in before he got injured, which is always the danger with these early transfers. But since then, Lukaku's been transferred out of 1.4 million teams. Absolutely incredible. His ownership is still quite high, actually. Ronaldo transferred out of 650,000 teams. People have had enough. Alonso out of 370,000 teams as well. Interestingly, Mark Sullins is holding on to Alonso and he's playing him this week. He is convinced. We were on FPL Rubber Duckies chat last week, and he's convinced that Alonso starts. So that'll be an interesting one there. Jota out of 300,000 teams. He's also left my team this week on wildcard. And Pogba, biggest transfer in, and Jamie Vardy's ownership has absolutely flown up in the last couple of days. The big move has been Lukaku to Vardy. Vardy's ownership, I believe, is touching nearly 30% overall, which is absolutely massive. And I haven't got Vardy on wildcard, and he is the player I am definitely concerned about. I've got a bit of bias on Vardy because I've never spiked any of his holes. I've always had him when he's done nothing, so I've got a bit of a bias against him. But I've got another way. I'll show my wildcard now in a moment. Townsend has been brought into the 400,000 teams. Chilwell brought into practically the same amount of teams that Alonso's been taken out of. Havertz has been brought into 284,000 teams, and Salah, those poor people who still haven't had Salah, eventually they've got him in 253,000 teams. Let's catch up on the chat and answer a few questions. King Cold Hard, that's an interesting one. Thoughts on Bernardo? I think Bernardo plays, and I think he's I held him a couple of years ago, and he scored for me on one of the opening games of the season. I think it was like the fourth or fifth game in, and he helped me. That was my best ever season. The kind of player, when you think of Foden, De Bruyne and stuff. If you look at the points and the minutes, I think Silva has actually played the second highest amount of minutes for Man City so far this season. I think if you're really stuck for budget and you want a piece of City attack, I do think he's a decent option. I would go for Foden ahead of him if you can afford him, but if you can't afford him, I do think that he's quite decent there. Alan Ward, Fergie, who are you giving the armband to? It's gotta go to Mo. Gotta go to Mo this week, I'm afraid. And Stephen Moore, hi Fergie, brought in Vardy, Havertz, and Mbumo for Ronaldo, Jota, and Sissoko. Boom! They are some fantastic moves there, Stephen. They're very, very excited for the week. I'm not sure what Havertz's ownership is now. If someone could have a look, it would be good. But I think I checked this morning, it was about 5%. So it's obviously creeped up now. It may be up to kind of 9 or 10%, but I think he could be quite exciting one tomorrow lunchtime, even though it'd probably be a massive bloody letdown like it always is when we have these kind of players. We had a question on keepers, which I'll get to now. King Cold Heart, Mbumo or Bruno? If it's in terms of starting, that's a tough one. I gotta say, I'd probably, I think I'd start Bruno, just because if he doesn't play, because he's had a knock. If he doesn't play, it means he doesn't play at all. I can't see them bringing him on. So I do think that Bruno can still cause the Liverpool defence some damage. If he plays, Liverpool defensively, not fantastic, right? So I still think that Bruno could do some damage there. I would start him, and then obviously, if he doesn't play, you get Mbumo's points off the bench. Bolu, Havertz or Rafinha for the next three? It's got to be Havertz. It's got to be Havertz there. I'm sorry, just for the upside. And, I'm going on about Havertz, and I'm going to talk about it now on my wildcard. I'll show my wildcard team now in a second. But this is one of this is why we play this game, right? Is these low-owned potential gems just suddenly show themselves. And I think this is what it is with Havertz for his next three. It may not work out. He may blank all three. But you know what? This is the fun. This is the excitement. This is the thing of when we're not going, I'm just going to captain Salah and, I'm going to go for Trent and I'm going to go for, Diaz. That's, there's no real buzz or excitement then. The buzz and excitement are when these differentials come in for you. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But, I'm pretty excited about it. Likandar, hi Fergie, who should I start between Guaita and Ramsdale? Bear in mind I have Ben White. Whoosh, Likandar, I would, it's a tough one there. It's hard to get excited about either. I would go for Guaita. Obviously, they're playing Newcastle. I do think Arsenal will likely concede against Villa personally. Khaled says, ranked just over 1 million. Should I risk and captain Rafinha over Salah? Absolutely not, Khaled. Just go for Salah. Just play safe and sensible. We're less than a quarter of the way through the season. There's no rush. Make the right decisions. If you don't captain Salah this week, if you generally think he's the best option, if you think Salah's the best option, captain him, because if you don't, that 1 million rank could become 2 million rank, and then you may as well, you're going to be very, very disappointed in yourself. Leave it. Play it safe, Khaled. Just go for who you think is the best captain. Don't worry about ownership. Don't worry about, whatever else. If you generally think Salah is, I'll go for him personally. Let's go on a little bit. Josh Procklehurst, Fergie, would you take a -4 for Lukaku out Vardy in or play Livramento? Josh, I would probably look at it over the next three. So Vardy, I think Vardy's got a hard game tomorrow away to Brentford, but after that he's got Arsenal and Leeds. So in terms of looking at it as a 3, if you think that -4 he'll pay that back over the 3, I would go for it. If it was just for one fixture, I probably wouldn't, because I do think that Livramento's got a good chance of a clean sheet against Burnley. I think Burnley they're playing. But I think if you're looking over the next 3, I think Vardy has got really good upside, so I would take it over the next 3, but not 1. Easy. Do I sell Rafinha for Havertz on -4 in a game with 13, swapping with Son? I probably wouldn't, easy, to be honest, because if you're looking at taking out players who are not not very good or potential risk, and I can understand it. But Rafinha's home to Wolves. The last 2 games he started, he scored in both. I do think Rafinha, is a decent option. I may look, I'd be tempted to look elsewhere. If you're determined to get Havertz in, I'd probably look somewhere else, get him in personally. And Nick says Gray or Sarr to Havertz for -4. Now, they're the kind of players personally I would be looking at a little bit more. I do think Gray's got a really good fixture against Watford. Watford defensively have been absolutely all over the shop. I would be tempted to go Sarr to Havertz. That's the kind of player, he hasn't, he's looked okay, but Watford and, obviously Rafinha, I think with me anyway, Rafinha's a better option than Sarr. So with Sarr, I would do that move then. And Ognian, captain Salah or Havertz. I think if you're playing the game, I always say this, right? So the captain and Havertz one this week for me. If you look at Havertz's minutes, if you look at his form, there's it's nothing right. I know he's got Norwich, but Norwich have kept back-to-back clean sheets. I think owning Havertz this week, if he kicks off, you're going to get a big boost from that, right? I don't see the point in potentially squandering all that progress by captaining him if you generally think that Salah is the right one. So yeah, I've just seen down the bottom. So I can't obviously read all the comments here, because there's so many. But he says, do you skip my comments because of my complicated name? Absolutely not. Surya Sankar Sen, easy peasy. Surya Sankar Sen. Ask me a question, Surya, and I will answer now. But obviously, I can't get to every single one because there are so many. I can see a question now. Actually, do you think Rudiger starts? Yes, I do. Thoughts on Mount captain? Wish me luck, my man. I'm not too keen on the Mount captaincy. I go for Salah personally, assuming you own Salah. I think Rudiger starts. I can't ever remember. Well, I'll say ever. Ever since Rudiger has been a regular, I can't remember Rudiger being on the bench at any point. I think if he's fit, he plays. He's their main man, their main defender, their best defender. So I think he plays. But I would be a bit hesitant personally on captaining Mount. Axel Knowles, Fergi, Ladybird fell on my keyboard today while making my FPL changes. Axel, I don't know what's going on there. I was live on Tuesday night and I felt something on my arm and I looked and something was crawling around and it was a ladybird. It wasn't very nice. Right, I am going to show my wildcard team and run through it for anyone who is interested. So I've made this wildcard team. FPL Rubber Ducky earlier said I look tired. I do look tired. It's because I had my latest night I've had in a long time last night, staying up to decide whether to wildcard or not, but I have done it. So let's get into it. And this is my wildcard team. So I've gone for Raya in goals. I have done a bit more of a detailed description in a video this afternoon on this channel. If you want to go back, I run through all this team and the complete rationale through. I'll try and rattle through this in a minute or two if I can, so I'm not boring everyone. But Raya in goals. Brentford defensively have been very, very good. They have the second best, the second best defense statistically over the opening 8 game weeks, and they have a long stretch of fixtures. So I'm really happy to have Raya. I did have Sanchez as well, who has City, Liverpool next. So happy with Raya. Back four, Trent, Cancelo, Rudiger, and Chilwell. I mean, what a back four, right? Absolutely superb. Very, very excited for Chilwell. And the thing with Chilwell, as I've mentioned earlier, if he doesn't start, he doesn't start. It's fine. But look at my first bench. I've got Mbomo to come on if he doesn't start. So I'm absolutely fine with Chilwell not playing. And even at my second bench is Livramento, home to Burnley as well. So I'm all good with benches. I just think that's part and parcel of the game. You just have to go through it. Midfield, Rafinha and Salah. I've kept. I've got Son and Havertz in. So Havertz, as I say, these next 3 fixtures are just absolutely sick for Chelsea. I can sense an opportunity, which is when, one, I like to use my wild card, 2, when I like to try and attack these fixtures. For me, FPL and fantasy football in general is about playing sensibly and waiting for the right time, waiting for the opportunities where you can see it, where you can really jump ahead. Now, not only that with this team, but my concern was also making sure that in game week 12 and onwards, kind of moving towards Christmas and ongoing, that I had the right team structure in place to be able to get these things, get my team and carry it through this place. And I do think with this team, I have got that, and I'll explain why now. I've gone for Son. Spurs' long-term fixture, actually, I think it's all the way to something like, game week 24 or something, like absolutely fantastic. Just quickly, James in the chat, always wonder why you say in goals and not in goal. Anyone else agree? I think it's probably a thing from school, James. I was always, I was born and brought up I'm in South Wales, and I was always who's in goals. So maybe that's just what it is. I have had that mentioned to me a couple of times before. Maybe it's a South Walian thing, but we were always in goals. And up front, I've gone for Antonio, Antony, and Bomo and Livramento on the bench. So my plan here, I have a master plan. And my master plan is to play Havertz for the 3 games, 2 or 3 games, hopefully get some really good points out of him. Then I downgrade Havertz to a 4.5, get the change, and then upgrade Antonio to Kane in game week 12, or at least have the option to. I may or may not, obviously depending on form, but that would give me Kane and Son and Salah, for that really, really good Spurs run there. Triple Brighton as well, and still got a fantastic defence. This is why I'm quite excited about this wildcard team. And, as with all things, as with, all decisions we make in life with anything in regard to risk and stuff, to me, it's all about feeling comfortable with what you're doing, regardless of the outcome. And I know it's easy to say. Everyone says it, but very few actually do it. But I can do that. I learned to do it a few years ago. I'm probably older than a lot of you in the chat, but I'm incredibly happy with my team. It could be that Benrahma scores a hat-trick, who I've taken out on Sunday, and Mbomo, who doesn't go off my bench, scores a couple of goals, and I'm below the average, but I would make these changes all again because I feel they're the right changes with what we know at the moment. Adam H also in goals here in Ireland. Absolutely. I think whoever said in goal is wrong. Anyway, if you have any questions about my wildcard ever, please feel free to put them in. Let's jump in and answer some questions. Nordbein says, that easy. Everyone at City is at risk, but Son is a good pick. So I'm assuming you're replying to something there around, kind of risky players. Son plays every game, right? This is what this is the reason I like Son, and the reason I like Son as well. And I found this a lot last year is when he scores, he tends to get. He's really good on the bonus, and a goal for Son is normally worth kind of 9, 10, 11 points, depending if to get the clean sheet and max bonus as well. Whereas 4 strikers, it's not. The only one I'm really missing is Vardy, but I can't have everyone. FPL Dreams, a nice team, Fergie. Thank you very much. Richard Smith, who to play? Smith Rowe, Livramento, or Cash? I think out of those 3, I would be tempted to play Livramento, Richard. Personally, I think some of them look good. Don't really like Arsenal or Villa at the moment, but it's just a personal thing. I would probably play Livramento there personally. Noons asked, what's the situation with Tielemans? So Tielemans came off, I think it was Wednesday afternoon. For whatever reason, they played a Europa League game on Wednesday afternoon. He came off apparently a small back spasm, but press conference today, he's absolutely fine, so don't worry about that. He should be playing on the weekend, and if not, you get your bench on, definitely back the week after. Dalam, hello Fergie, sorry I'm late to the podcast. Dalam, what's going on? You know the time every week? I'm only joking. It's great to have you with us. Dalam, Fayad, is Shalaba a safe pick this week? No, he's not. But he's also, he is safe in the terms of, he's very, very likely to come on as a sub. So I think Shalaba, I was looking at Shalaba the other day. He's only 4.8 million, which is obviously an incredible price for a Chelsea defender when he plays. He's also really got, good attacking intent as well. But if he doesn't play, you need your first bench. I don't think he's a bad option because. Like I said, I don't think he comes on as a sub personally. I think he either plays or he doesn't. Similar to Chilwell, similar to a few of the players we've already mentioned. Felix Kelberg, Vardy, Arnold, Foden, Havertz, Rafinha, Son, Brown, flipping heck, or Kane, Diaz, Havertz. I can't answer. Sorry, Felix. I can't measure six players against another 6. If you can just ask a couple of different questions, I'll try to help you out there. Isaac, would you take out Alonso for Chilwell or Ben White to get money? I think it's a tough one. I do think that Chilwell plays this weekend, but you would also be devastated if you took Alonso out for Chilwell, and this is the one that Alonso plays. As long as your first bench is okay, Isaac, I would just play Alonso because he's very, very likely to come on. That's what I would do this week. I mean, you brought Alonso for a reason. Obviously, he looks like he's lost his place, but what you don't want to do is sell him against ahead of a home game against Norwich, and then he does play, the 10 or 20% chance that he plays, he does actually play, and you've taken him out. That would be an absolute nightmare. Thoughts on Grealish? Andrew Ordonez, thoughts on Grealish? Yeah, I think he's okay. I prefer Foden personally. I think Grealish does, I think he's a fabulous player, but I think he does flatter to deceive from an FPL view. Doesn't really get a lot of points, and Brighton are a tough nut to crack nowadays. I think next week I'd be more interested in a City player than this week. personally. So I probably wouldn't go for Grealish. If you are going for a City mid, I personally go for Foden. Yura asks, bench one, Armstrong, Sarr, or Ben Rama? God, that's a tough one. Probably, oh, goodness me. Is Armstrong going to play? I think you probably have to say Armstrong out of those, because Sarr and Ben Rama are going to play, you would guess. Out of the three Euro, I would say Armstrong out of the three personally. Zole, will Hwang play, or should I bench him? I think he should probably play. He didn't play very well last week. Obviously had a nightmare. He gave away the goal for one of gave away the ball for one of Villa's goals. I think he'll play. I think with the news that Jimenez may be out as well, potentially be out, or may not start, I think he's probably likely. So Zole, I think if you bought Hwang for a reason that you think he's going to play, I would be tempted to play him this week. It obviously depends who over, but I do think there's a good chance he plays this week with rumours that Jimenez may be potentially missing out. Samuel, what's the latest on Saka? I think he trained yesterday, and they're going to make a late decision on him. So I'm not sure. We're not sure he's going to start or not. It's going to be a late decision. Freaky Ray says, "Why are you benching Bumo?" Well, just looking at the team, I find it really, really hard to actually decide who to bench ahead of him. I do think Bumo was a great pick, which is why I've got him in the team. So originally I was looking at a 4-5-1 and going for Bumo over Tony. However, I saw a really good point earlier on Twitter. I wish I could call the person out and made it, but I can't remember who it was. But they made a point that if Mbumo scores, Tony is likely to be the assister with the way they play. So if Mbumo scores, Tony will likely get points as well, whereas Tony can get points in his own right, and he's also on penalties as well. So that's the reason I've gone for Tony. But in terms of ownership, I had a quick look at ownership earlier. It may not be up to date. I think I looked last night or this morning, but Tony's ownership was roughly 17%, and Bum was still only 4 or 5%. The effective ownership of these around my ranking, around the top kind of 100 or 200k, and Bowen's effective ownership was slightly higher than Tony. But I do take that into account a little bit. But I did like that point they made about him being on pens, and also him generally looking for Mbomo, and should be involved in the points as well. I thought both of them were unlucky not to get in the points last week. Alex Richards asks, Townsend or Son or Havertz? Alex, I just think I go for Havertz. Personally, I just think he's a fantastic pick for these next 3 games. I just think when you're going to get an opportunity, if you put it in these terms, right? So Chelsea are the champions of Europe. It's fair to say if they are not the best team in Europe, they're definitely one of the best in Europe. They're one of the best teams in the world, right? You can have a striker for one of the best teams in the world for the next 3 games. You couldn't ask for a better 3 games, especially the first 2, Norwich and Newcastle, 2 worst defences in the league, and then Burnley at home after that. You've got the number 9 as an 8 million midfielder with all those circumstances. Talk about stars aligning. I personally think those who are not going for Havertz this week, you've got the opportunity to. I just think when you're going to have a better opportunity to jump on a potential low-owned absolute diamond, I'm not saying he's going to return, right? You can't do that in fantasy football, but what you can put yourselves into positions to haul, right? And I think that is what it is with Havertz this week personally. So I go for Havertz all day long. Josh Dawes, Trent or Diaz? I just prefer Trent, always prefer Trent. I don't think Trent will ever leave my team. Liverpool's fixtures, they go on and on. They obviously got a couple of toughish games tucked in there somewhere, but Liverpool's fixtures, until the new year, are absolutely superb. So Trent, he's on all the corners, all the free kicks. Well, all the corners on the right hand side. Sorry, looks incredibly dangerous. Liverpool are on form. I would always go for him. Isaac, are you from Cardiff? I'm from near Cardiff, so I'm from Barry originally, which is about 8 miles from Cardiff, and I live up there on the valley. So I've got a bit of a mixed accent. I've got that kind of Barry twang, but I also have got a bit of that Rhondda lilt as well. Jakey boy, bench Hwang or Grealish? Oh, it's a tough one. I'd probably bench Grealish this week personally. I do think that Hwang may play against Leeds, and give him a bit of a run around. So I would probably say I would bench Grealish this week away to Brighton. It's going to be really tough. Segar, Foden to Havertz -4. What do you think? I'm not that fussed on that one because, I don't think so personally. I know I just banged on about Havertz for 5 minutes. I think if you can get him for free, I mean it's up to you, right? I think Foden's a fantastic option in his own right. Personally, he might score, he might not against Brighton. After that, the next 4 games, 3 of them are at home against Palace, West Ham, and Everton. So I think Foden, that he is the second regret. I've got my wild cards. My first one is Vardy. My second one is I would love to get Foden in if I could, but I can't. Jensen asks, would you start Saka or Gallagher? I would personally start Gallagher, Jensen. That's where I would start. I think guaranteed to play on some set pieces, on form against a horrible Newcastle defence. So I would go for Gallagher personally. Saka may not even start. And Daylam asks, should I put Livra or Gallagher as first sub? I would go for Gallagher there, Daylam, personally. But I would also ask the question, why have you got Gallagher if you're not going to, as a 5.5 million player, if you're not going to play him at home against one of the worst defences in the league, you must have an absolutely excellent team. Anup asks Kyle Walker. I do think Walker's a good. You don't see anything on Walker. I think he's a good shout. I think it's just because Cancelo's upside. You've got Diaz for security of start. You have Cancelo, for really attacking upside, as we saw in the week, right? He's a fullback, basically getting one-on-ones. I mean, what's that about? Whereas Walker, he goes under the radar. But if I was to go for 2 defenders, Chilwell and Cancelo, and Trent, I just think all 3 of them have got such crazy intent. So I think there's better options than Walker, I suppose is what I'm saying. Keith Frank, Mahrez to Havertz. Now that is a call maybe. I do think Mahrez has recently got back into the team. I think, but again they have got Brighton. I'd be tempted by that, Keith, because it's not for a hit. You don't have to do anything. It's a downgrade in terms of price of Mahrez to Havertz. I would personally do that, Keith. But if Mahrez does do something, just make sure it's your own decision. But it's something I would do. I think. Jensen, thanks, Fergi. I need you to say that as I'm an Arsenal fan. Gotta put my bias aside. Saka may play and he may do well. We know what we know at this period in time, don't we? Anil says Jimenez to Tony for a -4. I gotta be honest, Anil, that's something I may be tempted with because Tony is a very, very good long-term hold. Look at these fixtures for Brentford, right? So got Leicester this week. Obviously, it's going to be a toughish game, but Leicester defensively haven't been great. Then they got Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle, Everton, Spurs, Leeds, and Watford. This is why I'm tripling up on them. So, the fact that Jimenez may or may not play, Wolves have got decent fixtures too. And they have, but I don't like all this. Will he play or will he not play? I'd be tempted to do that. Masked M says Red Arrow incoming this week. Who for, Masked M? I really hope you're not talking about my wild card. I'd be devastated if I had one. I'm hoping for a nice bump, but we'll see. If it's for you, Masked M, come on, get your team up, show us your dilemmas, and let's see if we can help you out. Reese says, why not captain Havertz over Salah? Kind of mentioned this earlier. So Havertz has got no form. He's barely played any minutes this season. I don't see the point in risking it. Salah is currently probably the best player in the world. He's also probably playing for the best team, and he's up against a shambolic defence. I think it's a no-brainer. Off spinner in a hurry. Why not answering? I missed your question there. If you ask it again, I will do it. Oh, I got it. Sorry. Hello, Fergie. I'm thinking Lukaku and Saka to Havertz and Broca, leaving enough money for Antonio to Kane next week. I like that move off spin in a hurry. The only thing with Broca, so I was considering Brocha. Apologies again for the horrible pronunciation. I was considering having Brocha instead of Davis. The only problem I got with Brocha is that if he does lose his place, which he made, there's a lot of competition up there for him, then I would personally rather have the 0.6 out of him. Which is why I just put Keenan Davis rammed onto the side. So that's my only kind of thing there. I would be tempted to go down to Havertz personally, tempted to go down to the 4.4 and use the 0.6 later in your team. But I do think it's an excellent plan to go from Antonio to Kane either next week or the week after, whenever it would be. Carbonero, hey Fergie, Havertz for Saka. Sorry, I've lost that now. Havertz for Saka and -4 and captaining him. Wow, Carbonero. I really, really, really hope it works out for you. I think it's a fabulous, brilliant, brave move. I'm not sure on the captaincy personally, but if he kicks on, even if he scores a goal again, because he's a midfielder and he'll likely get a clean sheet as well against Norwich, could be on for a 9 or 10 pointer just for scoring a goal. So if you think he's going to do well, then I would do it. I'm not brave enough, but you should. Ethan Bramley says Mount, answer for a sub. God, Ethan, I like that. Mount, answer for a sub. I prefer Havertz, Ethan. If you've got the opportunity and the funds to go for Havertz, which you probably should have, I don't think there's much difference between Mount and Havertz. I personally would go for Havertz for the next 3. I would do that. TMZ, Havertz for the next 3, or Son right away. Fergie, what do you think? Would you prefer Havertz? I do, and I'm sorry. I apologise in advance, everyone. These are the kind of opportunities which I look for in fantasy football. They very rarely come up, and I do fancy Havertz for these next 3. I just think it's there in front of us. He should be playing as a striker for the next 3 games against 3 awful defences for the best team for the current European champions. I would just do it personally. Apologies if it doesn't work out, but I'm going for it as well. Tan May, hey Fergie, who is more likely to start, Chilwell or James? For me, Chilwell. I think James is always rotation risk. He never really has a run of games because he does mix it up with Aspie. So I think I would go for Chilwell if you can afford him. Ex-Twins friend says Chilwell or James. Exactly the same question. I go for Chilwell. Carbonero, Son or Kane for long term. For me, it's Son for long term because you save the 2 million. And they're very, very, likely to score similar points if Spurs do well. So I would go Son for long term. If Spurs looking good in game week 12, then get the double up with Kane is what is my plan with this wild card. Soya says great team, thank you so much. And Michael says thoughts Antonio captain. I don't. You know what? I think there's worse shouts. Like I say, I do think that Salah. I think that Salah is the best captaincy option this week. But I do think Havertz and Antonio are actually decent options. Spurs defense is just a bloody mess. I'm a Spurs fan, and Romero is just not there, up to speed. If it wasn't for Lloris making some really good saves, we'd have lost a few more games. So Antonio, he was rested last night. This is why I'm keeping him as well in my wildcard team. I really, really like Antonio. I'm not against it personally. Tech SEO, hey, would you start Livramento or Jimenez? Given doubts, he'll start. Yeah, with those ones, thing is, I suppose, if you look at it as well, if he's got concerns over his fitness, even if he does start, will he play 90? I think that's unlikely as well when they've got players like Hwang, Podence, Traore, Fabio Silva, all these players to come on as well. So he may only get 60 or 70 minutes. So I think I'd be tempted to go for Livramento there. He's got a good, he's got a good chance. He's got a good chance of a clean sheet, but he's also got a chance of attacking returns there as well. Samanch, Vardy or Tony. I think Vardy for the I think if you had the choice, I'd go for Vardy, right? If you had an outright choice to go for, if you chase Lukaku to someone, I would go to Vardy. I can't because I need the funds elsewhere, but I do think Tony is a really good option as well. And Ahmed says Gray or Sarr to start. For me, it would be Gray just because Watford's defence are a bit of a mess, and also Everton are at home. These small factors, kind of help out a little bit in these 50-50s. Peacebox Haid, thoughts on James as role captain? Absolutely not for me, because if he is benched, he's likely to come on and get you a 1-pointer. I think you're asking for trouble there personally. If you do it, the very best of luck. I hope it works out for you. And Hemant Laxman, Lukaku to Edouard if already have Vardy and Antonio. I think Edouard's a decent shout for this week. Not so sure if he's a great shout longer term. They do have reasonable fixtures. They are away to Man City next week. Just an example. It's not the best one. I think it's a 1-week punt. I think he'd be decent. I think he could score some points. Swastik says, has a -8 ever worked out for you? Yeah, it did. It worked out in game week 4 actually, because I took a -8 to get Ronaldo in, and if I hadn't have done that, and I captained Ronaldo, obviously got his couple of goals on his debut, so it does work out sometimes. I think with -8s, I think if you're looking for the long term, I think it's very. I don't think you should ever look at a -4 or -8 and and look at it in the short term, because an example of one we had earlier was taking out 3 players who are off the boil against 3 players who've got a run of fantastic fixtures going on and on. So you can't really measure it over one game week, which I know a lot of people do, because that's the way the FPL site is set up. It encourages you. You've got a green arrow, you've got a red arrow. But I tend to try and look over a bigger period of time to define success. I've had 3 reds on the trot, right? But really happy with my team, and as long as I'm heading the right way, kind of month on month, in terms of my team and my strategy, then I'm kind of happy then. Quasim Chima, Antonio and Mbuemo, or Vardy and 4.4 million mid. When I was benching Mbuemo anyway, have Livramento for sub cover. Tough one there, Kazim. I think I would go for Vardy there if you're benching Mbuemo, but I suppose it depends as well of whether you're going to want Mbuemo another week. If you're going to want Mbuemo another week, like later on, which I think probably are going to, looking at the fixtures, particularly 11 and 12, they got Norwich and Newcastle. I wouldn't make a decision based on the one game, as I kind of mentioned. I would make it based on a run of fixtures. And if you think Mbuemo is likely to be in your team for a long time, I'd be more tempted to go that way. Nisanth, Fergie, would you fancy San captain over Salah? Not this week. I think Spurs, they play. Spurs are good last week. You got to remember it's Newcastle, right? Newcastle are absolute, garbage, really. Their defence is garbage. They just let Spurs walk through them, and West Ham certainly aren't going to do that. But United's defence are just letting 6 goals in 2 games against Leicester and Atlanta. Liverpool have scored. They're scoring goals for fun. I think they scored, was it 5 on 5 last weekend? Another 3 in midweek, or 2 in midweek. Personally, just go for Salah. Ross Johnson, smart ass. Nathan Teller in for Son. Yeah, absolutely not. Thank you for that, Ross. Meaty Warrior, why Kane over Vardy? If he's asking me, he's asked a couple of times. I think if he's asking me, it's mainly for that. It's for the Spurs running game week 12 onwards. So Vardy's run is decent, and it is, but Kane captaincy option in game week 12. They are home to Leeds. They then have Burnley away. They are then home to Brentford in 14 and home to Norwich in 15. That's the reason. When I look at premiums, I always look at captaincy. I don't see the point in owning premiums if in owning really expensive players if you're never going to captain them. And for me, in that run, to have Salah and Kane are probably the 2 best captaincy options over that period. It gives me choices every week. So if Salah has a niggle or picks up a knock or is a risk or plays loads of minutes, could then jump on Kane, whereas you're probably not going to captain Vardy personally. You may in 13 because he's home to Watford, but saying that, Salah's home to Southampton. Straight Patel, same team as you, but with Vardy, no Son. I've been tossing it up all day between Vardy and Son. Shrey, I don't think there's a right answer. The only reason I've gone for Son in the end is because it means I can now get in Vardy or Kane, whereas if you go for Vardy, you can't get to Son if you move Vardy up to Kane because of the way how it works, in terms of the structure and the prices in midfield. Last few questions. Rikaz Rummy, please help. Foden or Son on a wild card? If you can afford Son, personally, I would go for Son as per the team I've got on screen. Great long-term fixtures. FPL beast. I do think Foden is good. Son is guaranteed to start every game as well, right? Whereas, I think Foden will start a lot of games. But obviously, with Man City, they've also got the Champions League. Spurs, as they showed last night, are resting their players, even though they lost. So I do wonder whether Kane and Son may play in the next game home to Vitesse, I want to say it was. We'll see. Pranjal, start Livra or Jimmy. Such a tough one. I probably Pranjal. I I think with the news we just had, because I think Jimmy probably either plays only 60, 30 or 0, I'd probably go for Livera. I don't know. It's a really hard one, that is. Hard because they have that lead. Depending on the risk appetite. If you're a safe player, go for Livera. If you're a risky player, go for Jimmy. Alex McLean is sat going to start. We don't know. That's all we did. We know he trained yesterday, so he may start, but we just don't know. We will find out in about 39 minutes and 40 odd seconds. A couple of questions on captaincy. Are you tempted by Havertz captain? Not really. Purely because I think that Salah's just in the form of his life against very poor defence. And Kazim, thanks Fergie. Teams now same as yours, except Mount for Havertz. Best of luck, Kazim. I hope you absolutely smash it. Ahmed, Fergie, would you captain Antonio or Kane this week? No, as I say, I'm on Salah, right? So I'm on Salah. I got Havertz as my vice. I wouldn't personally. I just think Salah is the best option this week. I was on Lukaku, but now I'm on Salah. Shafiq, your thoughts on captain and Chilwell over Salah? I have both of them in my team. I go for Salah. I go for Salah every time at the moment. I just think those who are going for someone else, they're taking a risk. Like I say, I personally don't think this week is the week to take a risk. I just don't know why. Obviously Havertz and Chilwell and Antonio and everyone have got really, potential good upside. But like I say, Salah, he's playing for a wonderful team. He's in form against a poor defence. I just think it's it's a bit of a no-brainer. Supam, get Havertz for a hit or keep 5.2 million in the bank. Thanks. Obviously depends on the rest of your team, but I'd be tempted to go for Havertz. I know I'm going to look back like this stream in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be getting a load of abuse because people say you told us to get in Havertz and he's looked crap. I mean, it's your decisions, right? On whether you want to bring him in. I think he's a fantastic option for the next few games. I really, really do. But obviously make your own decisions in terms of the context of your own team and whether you want to bring him in or not. Valkyrie took a hit for bringing in Kane and taking out Ronaldo. Worth it? I think that's a tough one, Valkyrie. I think it's worth it long term, definitely, or medium term. From now until game week 14 or 15. I think after that you probably want Ronaldo back. So hopefully Kane outscores Ronaldo. I think you have to look at that over the next 5 or 6 game weeks, which I'm sure he will, because Spurs fixtures turn really good in game week 12. Okay, I'm gonna have to go in a second. Last 3 questions. Dr. Malcolm, start 1. Sal Livramento, St. Maximum. It's a hard one. I'd go for. Which one to go for? I'd go for St. Maximum, I think, on that one. Foden for Havertz. So GXN88 says Foden to Havertz for a -4, and Vicker says Foden to Havertz. I think it's a tough one. I think you likely only brought in Foden last week or the week before, so I think you've got to look at it again over a period of games. I think that Havertz will do well, but I think that Foden will do well too. Maybe not this week. Foden may score or may not, but they are away to Brighton, which is a tough game. But their next 3 or 4 after that, they're home to Palace, they're away to Man United, which again, dog shite defence, right? Home to Everton, home to West Ham, really good fixtures there. I'd be looking to get Foden and Havertz if you can. Personally, I'd look elsewhere. I know it's the price point, right? I understand that, but I'd be hesitant on taking Foden out personally. And last question, Prabnor, Saka or Gray? I would go for Gray. Better fixture, likely guaranteed to start. Okay. If you enjoyed the stream, please press the like button. It would be much, much appreciated if you could. And drop me a follow on Twitter right here at FFH_Fergie. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. In the bottom right hand corner of the screen, we'd really appreciate it. We do lots of fantasy Premier League and fantasy football content all week long, and we do this deadline stream 1 hour before the deadlines. If you haven't been with us before, please make sure you do. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are at FFH_HQ. Drop us a follow. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, points predictions tools, and much, much more to join the tens of thousands of other fantasy managers. Sign up to the hubs, use all our amazing resources. Just click the top link in the description below. You will not regret it. I will be back just before the Game Week 10 deadline. Thank you so much all for joining in. Have an amazing Game Week 9, and may all your arrows be green. Good night all.